All right, so some good news if you're a Resident Evil fan. Apparently, Capcom plans on porting Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes along with Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, the Gold Edition, to the PlayStation 5 in physical form. So basically, you'll have the CD version of those games, and I don't think that's something they've really had made a priority in the past, but finally, it's something that's going to happen, and it's going to be released in different countries and different time periods. For example, um, those three games are going to get physical releases in Europe, Australia, New Zealand, and Asia on December 6th. It's supposed to get a physical release in Japan on December 26th. And in America, we're supposed to begin a physical release of those three games sometime in January 2025 on a date that has yet to be revealed. Now, I'm not exactly sure why it's being done that way, but I do feel that it's a good thing that this is happening because it seemed like Sony had been wanting to move away from, I guess, using physical media for their games, and they want consumers and customers to buy video games digitally and all that stuff. And I'm pretty sure that these games are going to be really valuable once they come out. But based off of what I've been reading online, um, it turns out that it's supposed to be in retail for $29.99 each, and if that's the case, then that's a pretty good deal. But at the same time, I feel like it's going to be something that people buy and they're going to hold on to, and they're going to try and resell it for double than what it's worth. And at the same time, I don't blame people for having that type of mentality, but it's a good thing that Capcom has decided to re-release these games physically for the PlayStation 5 because Resident Evil 2, 3, and 7 are arguably the most popular installments in the entire franchise outside of the Resident Evil 4 remake. And you look at it, Resident Evil 2 remake that came out back in 2019, and I think that game did like somewhere around the ballpark of 14 million in terms of sales. And honestly, like that game's a classic. It's something that's been one of Capcom's best games since the late 90s. And then you got Resident Evil 3, the remake, which came out back in 2020, I believe. I think that did like 8.4 million copies in sales. And that was when Joe Valentine was the main character. And then you have, Resident Evil 7, where Ethan Winters was the main character. And a lot of people will go on record and credit that game for basically saving the Resident Evil franchise from being completely irrelevant during the teens decade because Resident Evil 6 was a game that a lot of people hated. And obviously it doesn't seem like Capcom has any plans on remaking Resident Evil 6 or Resident Evil 5. And Resident Evil 5 actually wasn't a bad game. It's just too controversial, and it's something that would require Capcom to completely rewrite the storyline in a way where it doesn't offend a particular group of people or whatever. But it is what it is. But I do feel that bringing these three specific games to the PlayStation 5 was a good choice. And I'm not exactly sure whether or not they plan on doing the same thing for the Switch too, because I don't think Resident Evil necessarily needs Nintendo or anything like that because it's rated M, and it's a survival horror genre franchise for the most part. And like Resident Evil is Capcom's like best franchise right now, in the sense where it's like it's more popular than Monster Hunter, it's more popular than Street Fighter, it's more popular than Mega Man, than any of like Capcom's top franchises right now. And I believe Resident Evil as a whole, like every video game within the entire series, has told to more than 160 million in sales, and that's that's an impressive number, and an impressive record, and all that. And yeah, I mean, I feel like these games are getting the treatment that they deserve. And A lot of people feel like it's something that should have happened a lot sooner, but I guess now is better than never. And I'm still bummed that this is not coming out in America before the end of 2024. It's kind of like a slap in the face in some ways, but we're still going to get it nonetheless. And a lot of people are going to be looking forward to these releases once they happen between December and January.